it's Melissa here from Melissa Shares. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are just back from a trip back east, and since I was traveling with young children, I thought now is a great time to share with you some of the tips that I learned traveling with kids. You might have holiday travel plans, and I've seen a lot of advice out there, and a lot of it I really disagree with. So in today's video, I wanted to share with you more quality over quantity. I'm not going to suggest that you buy and wrap a million tiny things for your kids. You can do that if you want, but I broke down into 8 different tips for you today, ways to make long distance and airplane travel easier with your family and ways that will save you money as well. So let's dive right in. I was traveling with my husband and my 2 daughters. They are 4.5 and 2. I was booking plane tickets for both girls. And so my tip number 1, and just adapt the gear that you have to work for travel. So my number 1 item that we did acquire is this contraption to go with our existing car seats. So this is a GoGo Baby Z. They are relatively inexpensive, and I'll put a link for them down below in the description box. But this little doodad attaches, it flips down, and it attaches to the base of most any kid's car seat so that you can wheel your kid through the airport, take their car seat all the way to the airplane, and we put our kids in their car seats in their seat on the plane. That helps us with having a car seat on the other end to put into the rental car. It keeps our kids safe in the airplane and secure, and they sleep really well in a cozy, familiar car seat. And then I didn't have to buy travel car seats, which a lot of people do that are more lightweight. I'll also link to the car seats that we have. We have a pretty standard Chico car seat, but it's very highly rated, and it's a slim fit car seat that is airplane approved, so it's skinny enough to fit in most airplanes. The other thing about this and car seats that we learned on our trip, which is amazing, is that you can ask the airline to preload your car seats to your ticketed seat on the airplane. This totally blew my mind when the person at the gate suggested it, because we were traveling with 2 adults, but also 2 kids and 2 car seats that you have to carry over your head down the aisle. So if you give your airline enough advance warning, they may be able to gate check your little wheels, or you can stow them overhead, and someone else, not you, will deal with the car seats and load them before they board the airplane. My next tip about gear is regarding strollers. These, depending on the age of your kid, may replace the need for a stroller in the airport. If you're traveling with a stroller, I've researched those travel strollers that are compact and fold up, and they're hundreds of dollars. So we have a stroller that we love that's like our day-to-day, pretty expensive stroller that we've used since birth. And that stroller has a carry case or travel case that you can buy. We bought ours secondhand, but it's the Bugaboo travel case. We picked one up for $50. And so we traveled with the stroller that we know and love. We know it performs well. And then again, I don't have an extra stroller to be storing when we're not traveling. I really believe in using the gear that you have and that your kids are familiar with, and then you have much less expense for travel stuff. Tip number 2, I have a list for you. These are my 8 tips. Tip number 2, pack and check as few bags as possible. So as I described, my husband and I were wheeling 2 children in car seats through the airport, and we had, a few carry-ons. So in terms of minimizing carry-ons, we packed in really huge luggage. We have one really big bag that we got at Costco, and because luggage is expensive, I just wanted to suggest that you borrow big luggage if need be, so that you have very few but large pieces. So we used our big bag, and I borrowed a big bag from my parents. The stroller gets checked for free, since baby gear gets checked for free. Just minimize how many bags, and I tend to pack bigger ones. Number 3, carry-on bags. So in our family, everyone is responsible for their own carry-on. For me, that means using just my day-to-day baby bag, backpack, and then each child had her own little backpack. What's in the backpack, you might ask? Well, everyone has change of clothes, diapers if you wear diapers, go in your backpack. And then I know some people do lots of goodies from the dollar store and stuff for their kids on the airplane. I repackage stuff that we already have to entertain my children, so I didn't buy anything new. I did a video about my envelopes and stickers activity, which I'll put below this video, but in a mystery envelope, I put stickers, return address labels, labels and junk envelopes that come in my mail, and this is one activity. Things like Play-Doh that we get in party favors with animal figurines and seashells. This is like a new activity when you combine Play-Doh with other items that are interesting to your kids. I do save things from party favors and hide them from my children, so I did have some items like this that you might get at the dollar store. I also love things like catalogs that can be read and ditched along the way. In our food bag, which is the one other carry-on that I carried, I do highly recommend that you think about what foods you want to have well in advance of your travel. What this does for me is this saves us a world of pain and expense on our travel day. I packed things like little packages of cured meats, fresh fruits and veggies like peeled and cut up cucumbers with ranch, fresh cut mango and other fruits in a disposable container. And as an ice pack for my food bag, I froze a loaf of pumpkin bread that we had baked, and that was frozen in our bag. And then that was a gift on the other end when we arrived and were staying with another family. Tip number 4. Travel when your kids are fresh. So many people recommend traveling while your child naps or coordinating your flight time for nap time. Maybe that works if you're driving, but if you're at the mercy of the airlines and you have a red-eye flight that's delayed, you are going to be so upset and you will never want to fly again. And there's really nothing that you can do. So I've given up on night flights. When I can, I book a late morning flight for my kids so that they are fresh and ready for their day. It's very stimulating to travel, and there's a lot of fun and people watching that they can do, and then they rest at their normal times. And then on the return flight coming back west, we did like an early dinner time flight. And that was great because we had a busy start of our day, and then I fed them and get them cozy on the airplane, and they can rest that way. Tip number 5. Once you have gone to all the trouble of booking flights, it's very expensive. So I recommend staying with friends, family, friends of friends, or booking an Airbnb or sharing an Airbnb to save on costs. So we really lucked out. We had 2 different cities on our trip, and we paid for no hotels at all. In both of these situations, there were either children living in the house or grandchildren who visited that house, so they had all the gear that we needed on the other side. They had the pack and play, they had a little potty, they had toys, they had books, so it really minimized what I had to pack. If you are not visiting people and you are going maybe for like a family travel or traveling with friends, see if you can share an Airbnb. Find one that's kid-friendly that already has the gear that you need. If you are like my husband and you feel really guilty about staying with people, let me tell you this. We bring a lot of value, and I try to think about what value can I bring to my hosts to make their job easier and also to make it a pleasant visit. So while we were traveling, we brought things. I brought pumpkin bread for our hosts. We helped with setting up for an event. My kids did a bunch of dog walking to help out. We stripped the beds. We tried to tidy up and sort of take care of ourselves. And I even was staying with another family who had kids, and we were going out a couple nights, and the babysitting was on me. So I treated that family to a babysitter who watched all 4 children. The kids had a blast, and I was really grateful that we had playmates and the whole setup just so easy for us. It's also a great idea to bring hostess gifts or to bring something that's like a regional special treat from the place that you live. Tip number 6. Once you've saved money by hopefully not spending on hotel rooms, allocate some of that saved money towards some niceties so that you can really enjoy your vacation to the max. In our situation, that meant that we researched and booked a dog sitter for the first time who was a dog sitter and house sitter. That gave us peace of mind because we have an elderly dog. I also paid for and had my cleaning lady come while we were away, and that was a total godsend when we got home at midnight with tired children. It really made it like a pleasure to get home at the end of our vacation. Other things to think about: rides to and from the airport. In our case, we just paid for a really expensive but convenient parking spot at the airport that had valet. And you know what? It was really worth it when you were bedraggled on the coming home end. Oh, One more for number 6. Allocating money on your last day of travel is another great idea that I recommend. On the coming back side, you're probably going to want to enjoy your last day of travel by having a nice breakfast out, spending on like a special outing on your last day, or a few souvenirs. So we backloaded our expenses at the tail end of our trip, but that really capped our trip with a lot of like nice memories and sort of treating ourselves to like eating well and not having junk and granola bars on the ride back. Tip number 7, think about the memories that you want to get out of your vacation before you and your family go. So as the mommy who was planning this trip, we were going for several different reasons. We were going for a wedding, but we also were going to do things as a family and to visit family and friends. So what I did was I planned a lot of free activities. I researched where we could go for walks and hikes. I even made a little itinerary of the different times for story times and exhibits that would be of interest to my little young family in DC. So this meant that we had flexibility. I tried to consider all members of our family when planning. And there's just a world of things that you can do in any city that you visit if you take advantage of local parks, hiking and nature opportunities, stopping in at libraries. So this paid off. It was super. In addition, I tried to make sure that the family would look nice because there were a lot of opportunities during this trip for us to have family photos or to be visiting like cultural and important sites. So I tried to pack for myself with a wardrobe that I felt that I looked a little bit nicer in. And I also packed clothing for my children that was beautiful and was going to photograph beautifully so that everyone's just looking nice. I also tried to prepare my family so that they really could perform well and feel good during the few scheduled activities that we had. So we were visiting some historic sites. We went to Mount Vernon. In advance of our trip, I went out of my way to share those things with my kids so that they would know what to expect. So I had things around the house like a Mount Vernon guidebook. I had a calendar that was sent to me so that kids on the airplane could look through and they could be ready to see the things that we were going as a family to see. And that was really successful for them. I even read children's books about the place that we were going to. This is a great one. I'll link it down below. I did things like I tore things out of magazines of places that we were going to so that they just were familiar. It doesn't even have to be like cultural or historic information. I tried to prepare my kids for going out for Ethiopian food, and I told them, I said, get ready, there's gonna be no utensils. It was fun for them to tell me the things that they noticed that I had already told them about. Number 8, and I think this is the most important one, when you travel as a family and plan a trip, you are communicating to your kids what is important to you. So not everything is going to go smoothly when you travel with children and go on vacation. And that's something that I need to be reminded of because you just have to go with the flow. For that reason, having flexibility, a flexible itinerary, a little bit of advanced research is really great. But looking back on our trip, I would say that the most important things that I'm really glad I communicated to my children is that we were interested in spending time with our family, making time to see old friends. We shared in important life events by attending a wedding. We learned about history and culture, and we got out in nature and did some new things. So even if you are just showing interest in the world and sharing that with your kid, maybe you're just looking at like how interesting this old doorknob is, or looking at fall leaves that are just everywhere and beautiful and really different from the place that we live in. All of these little tiny moments and taking time and being relaxed with your family if you can, that is the kind of thing that they're gonna remember. And I hope that these tips are helpful to you and your family as well. It is... You made a worm. If you can do a few things in advance to prepare, if you can spend your money wisely, you'll be a much happier traveler, and I think your children will be happy as well. We had a fabulous time, and we look forward to traveling again as a family soon. So for me, that's a win. Thank you so much for watching today. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and please hit subscribe. If you've traveled as a family and you have tips for me, I would love to hear from you. So please leave a comment below. Thanks again. Bye-bye.